everyone, my name is Ayana JK, and here we are with lesson 3, navigating your choice and change with the mental process cycle. You guys like it? This is us. The greatest representation of all time. Thank you. I appreciate the applause. First things first, your life choices are meant for you to understand and you only. So you sit with that in whichever way you need to, okay? I created this beautiful graph, and it took me some time to kind of correlate everything together and see what went with what. And I had to make sure that I could explain it in the way that I was thinking it. First things first, it starts off with our life experiences, right? And then we tread down to the mental storage. The brain stores what we experience every single day. Some are stored within the subconscious mind, and others are stored within the unconscious mind, which we'll touch on a little bit, but I don't talk about it too much within this lesson. And side note, we're on part 1 because this is going to be a 2-part lesson. I'm very excited to introduce some new information too, by the way. The subconscious part of our mind has an unlimited capacity to store every and anything, but the conscious mind only processes a certain amount. You can search it up yourself. I can't give you the direct percentage, but it's very interesting, the duality between the two. Just imagine being able to recall everything consciously, every experience we've ever gone through. That's some crazy shit. Moving on. When we have the mental storage, and we just broke down the subconscious and the conscious mind in terms of understanding where experiences fall into, the conscious mind deals with the thinking mind, right? And then we have the subconscious mind, which works on the principles of what is right and wrong, and it also stores our beliefs, all of our old experiences, and so forth. Now that we understand that our experiences become stored within our mind, right? That brings us to the thought generator. And the thought generator are thoughts formulated from our experiences. Sit with this question. How do my thoughts affect my everyday life? Write it down, type it in your notes, whatever feels comfortable for you. And really take a second. I'll wait. Feel free to let me know your answer if you're willing to share within the comments. After we come up with our answer, we're going to move from the thought generator to the unconscious effect. But before we do that, we always have to keep in mind, your life, your choice. Whatever you choose to do in your life, it's up to you. And no one can tell you otherwise, right? We are all responsible for the choices that we make in our lives. The only thoughts that matter about yourself are your very own thoughts. Doesn't matter what Patricia or Jim or Veronica says about you. It's all about what you think about yourself, okay, at the end of the day. Now that we're at the unconscious effect, I know that you guys are probably like, what's the unconscious effect? I'm so glad you asked. So, the unconscious effect are thoughts that immobilize progression, right? So it hinders us from moving forward. Why? Because our thoughts can be our worst enemies sometimes. Now that we are at the unconscious effect and we understand what the unconscious effect is, right? In order to handle the unconscious effect, which again are thoughts that immobilize progression, we need to address it. And how may we do that? By implementing control awareness. Now, control awareness brings attention to the thoughts you have. So we're basically observing our thought patterns, right? And because we're able to observe our thought patterns, it makes it more digestible to move forward and know where we need to categorize our thought patterns, right? And the singular thoughts that we have, whether it's about ourselves or experiences we have. It also gives us space to analyze how we deal with change, which I've talked about in lesson 2. Now it brings us to the inner critic versus the inner coach. Now this part is very crucial because, as I just mentioned, we're going to be able to categorize our thoughts. I have here, if you can see that pretty okay, inner critic, inner defender, and the inner coach. So now that we have the inner critic, the inner defender, and the inner coach, I'm going to break it down for you just a little bit, right? Because you can feel free to explore the internet and do the research on your own. I'm just here to guide you and give you a little bit of wisdom in terms of how I have navigated through my life, right? So first things first, inner critic, which is judgment and criticism of self. Now, when we judge and we criticize ourselves, this can leave us within the unconscious effect, which places our thoughts in a state of immobilization within progression. It's very important to know which category it falls into, because in part 2, I will be able to break down the chart in simpler terms, as well as give you guys examples on how to properly use it. We move on to the inner coach, which kind of explains itself. You are your own personal cheerleader at the end of the day. And with the inner coach, that's your main support system. That's your G thing. You feel me? Everything that you experience, there is always a part of you that's cheering you on if you allow it to. Now we're moving on to inner defender, where we blame other people for our problems and we don't take any self-accountability. Now, if you want a little bit more information on self-accountability and taking control of self, tune into lesson 1 on my YouTube. As we're moving forward, we're going to hit conscious reasoning, which sums up every single thing that we just taken in. So it's navigating movement, right? Conscious reasoning. So we understand the reason as to why everything is the way that it is. And now we're in a placement where we can move forward because we have our awareness and inner knowing about ourselves and the way that we think and how we can navigate. And it gives us that perspective shift from I can't to I can and I will and I shall do. I know that this was a lot of information to take in. Chunk it down in whatever way it is easily digestible for you, okay? And if you guys want more of a thorough breakdown on certain parts of this chart here, be sure to stick around for part 2. This is lesson 3. Navigating your choice and change with the mental process cycle, part 1. I hope to see each and every one of you in class for part 2. I'm Ayana JK, your online mindset coach, and I'll see you soon. Peace.